Hello and welcome to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. I'm your host, Gary Morgan. With me, as always, my good friend, Jim Stamm. How you doing, brother?
Doing all right, man. Did Santa leave you any presents under the tree for MLB winter meetings, or did you leave? Did you leave disappointed, sir? Did you not get laser tag, Gary?
I didn't even go, Jim. I mean, I thought about going because, I'm doing this daily show now. So I kind of was like, maybe it'd be a good idea to go down to those winter meetings. I like taking vacation around the holidays. So kind of didn't want to blow vacation on that and then blow vacation on the. And the other thing too is just I watch all these guys go down and they do a great job covering it and doing Q&As and making it interactive and fun. All the credit in the world. All these podcasters went down and everything. Honestly, I don't know a blessed thing that any of them really got out of it. You know what I mean? I don't think I got a nugget of news that I didn't just get from whoever they were talking to. I mean, there's only so many people to talk to.
Certainly an A for effort on.
Totally. I love it. I respect it. Just I'm not sure that I certainly wouldn't have gotten more out of it than they did. I mean, I wouldn't have had the connections they did. And, I just didn't feel like it would be beneficial,
Well, this goes back to the whole thing of, gee, if baseball could get their act together and actually make it worthwhile for people to be there, in general, right? If there was a signing period and you had all this information and this wheeling and dealing and things
yeah,
man, isn't that what this sorely needs? And I think that's just the result of when teams aren't really forced into anything. You might not have a lot to talk about.
I mean, I got to tell you, the winter meetings in general and all of these traditional gatherings of executives that used to prompt things in all of these leagues, we would talk about, it doesn't function that way anymore. I mean, these meetings, you don't need to fly across the country anymore and look face to face with Jerry Jones and strong arming into that deal. You know what I mean? It's not necessary anymore.
And players go and they get, brought in the side door and meet for a little bit and then they're gone. So it's not like it's just not very conducive to an exciting 3 days is really what it comes down to.
Right. And I know they try to spice it up a little bit with having the Rule 5 draft in the middle of it. I can't imagine how can anybody really be excited about the Rule 5 draft? Think about it from every perspective you could. If you're a team that is actively looking for help, you're not a happy person. You're not a happy fan base. There's nothing real exciting about being in on Rule 5 picks. And if you're a team that's going to lose a bunch of guys, that you're not exactly thrilled about that. And what is there to be celebrated about the Rule 5 draft? And then they know it because the first round is over in about 10 minutes. They fly through the names. Half of them skip.
How many baseball fans do you think percentage-wise that go into a major league ballpark have any clue about Rule 5 or Rule 5 picks or the process? Very, very few. So it's for down in the weeds type people, and that's fine too. But another thing that just struck me, Gary, we had the MLB draft, and it's man, wouldn't it be great if teams could trade picks, and maybe that would be part of this whole thing too? So God, there's just so many things that baseball needs to get into, I don't know, the 21st century.
I mean, I'm frustrated because I already think the free agent period is so ridiculously long. to me, there should be like a a free agent period that's like from here to here. I don't know. Maybe that's end of the World Series till whatever, January 1st, right? And then right after the New Year's, it opens up this trade window that's open for a month. So you had that ramp up to like do free agency. Now you get to do trades. It would force people to be like aggressive in free agency because you don't know if you're going to pull those trades off. It would put more pressure on those trades. You probably get better value for those trades, right?
Yeah.
If you're trying to like scramble right before, just compress things, force things into like buckets so that like we have to rub elbows a little bit. Otherwise, it's just spread out days of misery. Like, and every time you do sign somebody like a legitimately good signing like Gregory Soto, all I end up hearing is like, can he hit? Bro, like the thing is about doing this is you guys have such a high expectation for how much of your crap I'm going to put up with. I just don't care anymore about some of these comments. I'm tired of it. Like, you need relievers too. I don't feel like doing the same sermon every friggin' year.
Well, yeah. First of all, the guys that were probably most realistic for the Pirates to get are still out there. The ones that are gone were really, really, really long shots anyway. So nothing has changed in that regard, except the fact that they still need to get it done. But the guys that were really in your ballpark are still there. Now it's just a matter of getting it done, and that's until they do. Unfortunately, Gary, you will still hear that stuff.
And they made a relevant, offer to Schwarber. I felt like all along, and I had heard all along, that Philly was going to get like, you know, last chance to kind of like, top anybody's offer. That's basically what was going to happen. And so that's what happened. I mean, there was other teams involved too, the Reds, the Pirates. I'm glad, like, at the very least, our GM didn't say what the Reds GM said after they missed on Schwarber. I
Yeah,
don't
that
know
was
if you guys caught that at all, but Jeff
that,
Carr, my buddy from Locked On Reds, looked as like damn near suicidal after listening to that guy talk.
well, especially after they just made the playoffs too. And then to hear them basically say like, yeah, we're not really going to be in on anything this off season. That's deflating, I'm sure, if you're a Reds fan.
I would imagine they kind of need a lot of the same thing the Pirates do. They need consistency. They need somebody that's done it before, and it almost doesn't matter where because they could use it anywhere. It's a good position to be in if you actually got some money to throw around. So I guess today and in this show, Jim, what I really want to talk about after we come back from the break is okay, I believe you. You want to spend some money. But what if nobody wants to take the money? Like, it's one thing to say overpay, but I really mean this when I say it. I think if the Pirates had been like had an opportunity to be like, hey, we'll match what the Phillies are giving you. I can honestly say I think they might have. It really isn't a lot more. Like it was just adding on a year. The AAV actually kind of came down a little bit. I think they
Yeah,
might have done it. And my only thing is, had they done it, Philly would have done it again. Like I don't think that they were gonna win that one. And I think that's the kind of the case with like Kyle Tucker and Pete Alonso. I don't think they were gonna win on.
no, here's the thing, and we'll go to break. But what kind of struck me over these 3 days, and just it was to me, it's a little bit of a sneak peek into if you were to just say, well, let's just have a floor in baseball, no cap, just a floor, right? As if that could happen. And what that would end up meaning eventually for teams, much like the Pirates is, boy, it would drive up a lot of these guys that don't deserve that money, so to speak, by the market, and they'd be getting it because you'd have to spend it. And it wouldn't be on the Kyle Schwarbers of the world. It wouldn't be on the Pete Alonsos of the world.
Yeah, I mean that's
So,
one way to look at it, or maybe you would be doing things like you would have Paul Skeens wrapped up. You would have Connor Griffin
sure,
probably paying him way more than he needs, right?
In that regard, yes, but I'm talking like solely like free agents.
You're right though. You just got to get to the floor, and there's nobody around. That's how you wind up paying like a Kyle Finnegan $14 million or something.
That's why it's a cap and a floor. It's got to be.
So. Got to be right. Hey, let's take that quick break and quit dilly-dallying, I suppose.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcast Network. Gary and Jim with you. We're going to have a kind of deep discussion today about how the Pirates actually can get around this, I don't know, having money and nobody wants to take it problem, right? They're walking around Vegas right after prostitution was legalized. I mean, like, got a wad full of sticky money. I don't know what to say. How do you get some money out of this team's pockets and into players' pockets? Like, yes, overpay. Everybody and their mother's going to say that sort of stuff. Here's Bob Smizik. He's quoting Jim Bowden. Free agent theatrics. Once the Pirates become the highest bidder on a big free agent, only then will we know they mean business. For now, it's just eyewash. Couldn't agree more. I don't know what the hell you're saying. What the hell are you even saying? Like, what does that statement mean? What does that change? How would you know? How would you know whether they were the top bid on a player? How would you know?
You wouldn't.
You would never know. These people set up these things to make me happy, but you're never going to be able to because here's the bar. You know what I mean? And by the way, I already know you can't reach it because it doesn't exist. And it frustrates me.
Well, I think on top of all this too is it does come down to, unless you're willing to go crazy, massive overpay, the teams that are in good positions and winning and have been and give you a good chance to win, be in the postseason and compete for a World Series title, they're always going to have the upper hand unless you just completely blow it out the water.
I totally agree with our friend here. Bob Smizik was old when he was young. I agree. Me too. I don't even mean to pick on him in particular. He just encapsulated it so much. It just frustrates the hell out of me, Jim, because it's not so much that I disagree. I obviously am in a wait and see period with the Pirates too. It's not as though I'm suggesting they're absolutely going out and doing all these great things, or I'm happy that they're in something and failed to get it done. I just don't understand what that does for you to say that. What does that change? What does that move? How are you even supposed to have a conversation about that? Like, okay.
And it's, yeah, I mean, like it's we got to get away from, in my opinion, stating the obvious about things, right? And to me, it's just low-hanging fruit at this point. And the purpose of this show, and someone just said it too, but like Daniel 6554 says, not a Pirates fan, but they need to go make big trades before they go after free agents. So they believe the front office. Okay, we can talk through that, right? Because there's something to that. That's actually a pretty valid point.
Like we said, Jim, we were going to talk about ways they can go about getting around this issue where nobody will take their money. That's one way right there. Trades. Problem is, I think you almost have to, and I don't want to say it's a bad trade, but you need to take an imbalanced trade. You know, you got to take money off the books for somebody that wants to take money off the books. And you got to hope that that you can pay less for it in prospects for the privilege. You know, and like I've named guys before, Anthony Santander. People don't want to hear it because he sucked last year, but it's a guy that Toronto's paying a lot of money. They're trying to sign more big money guys. It's worth the swing.
Well, yeah, and I guess like the bigger question I would ask anybody right now, you, anybody in the chat, afterwards, whatever, is let's say anybody you target isn't going to sign with the Pirates. They're going to use that as leverage, and then they're going to get it elsewhere. And if that's the case, then you've got to be willing to move prospects. Or maybe you like your prospects so much you can't feel you can, you can't live without them. But that's kind of the alternative. That's kind of one of the major alternatives is you'd have to move prospects. Are you willing to do it?
I am. I think I've been thinking a lot more about this lately, Jim. And the more I think about it, the more I think like, yeah, when you're willing to move prospects at this stage, and I started thinking about all the guys that I would say no to, right? You know, like you wouldn't want to move Griffin. That would be a lockdown no, because you really think he's going to be a starter this year. So you don't do that. You probably think Bubba is too. So you'd like to think Bubba's probably off. But then you start talking about some of these guys like Ketel Marte. If you want him and you're not willing to even mention Bubba, or you won't even entertain it, you ain't going to get this done. You're just not. You're not ready to have this conversation like an adult. You know what I mean? And I just think like that's the kind of approach you have to get a guy like that. That we've seen those moves happen before. They take prospect capital, and what you hope is that you can recoup it in the time that you've missed.
Look, I think there's a couple things here with Pirate fans that we need to admit to ourselves is that one, we haven't really been in this position before where we actually have like a lot of prospects and can use them as currency, right? So I think this is new territory for a lot of Pirate fans. So I'd say that's one of the reasons why people are, it's a tough pill to swallow. And I think the other thing about it is you've got prospects that you feel we haven't had enough good players. So the ones that you think are going to be really good, boy, you don't want to get rid of them before they make it, because we just haven't had enough good players. So I think you got that pull from Pirate fans where they're just like, I can't bear to let a good player go because he's a good player and we haven't had them. We haven't had enough of them. So I don't want to let them go.
All right. I'm seeing a hodgepodge of things here in the chat. Some of them range from, wanting to extend Connor Griffin to how realistic it would be to move Marte. Free agent deals would be preferable to losing the future. I guess what I really want to kind of focus on here is 2026 to me is a different year. And in order to really, really go for something while you have Paul Skeens, and we've talked about that short window that you really have, guys, we got to stop caring about 2028 and 2029. I know it kind of goes against everything that we've preached in this market as we've rebuilt, But if you really want to go for it, and you really want to push your chips in to make this year's team better and try to win, which this team executive thinks, I think they have to. You don't care anymore about what you're doing to 2028. Like when we talk about trading for like a Brandon Lau, it's just this year. Yeah. We want to win right now. And this guy could hit 25, 30 home runs for this team that has Paul Skeens on it right now. And I don't give a shit about 2027 that might not even play. And I don't care about 2028 because I've got other players coming. You know,
Yeah,
like you're going to replace it.
And it's funny because that is the mindset of some people, I think, is they are worried about like putting the cart before the horse in a way. And boy, you better hope Ben Sherrington is worried about next year, because I don't want him thinking about 2029. Dude needs to make things happen now. Like, it's the last thing I want him doing. Right? So, you know, I just think Pirate fans were stuck in this like purgatory, and I get it, but man, I'd rather die trying than not having tried.
Guys, we have a 6-hour drive away from us to see exactly what happens if you don't just push your chips in when you have the chance. There's 2 years left of arbitration for Tarik Skubal, and the news is 100% dominated by the Tigers should be trading Tarik Skubal. Look at the haul they could get for him. All these big teams are going for Tarik Skubal. He really should consider trading him, right? That's the Pirates in 2028. That's where we'll be. Get this done now.
If we're lucky, that's
Get
where
this
we'll
done
be.
now. Add to the damn team now. Try to win in 2026. Hope you have a 2027. You know, and if you don't have a 2027, hope you come back and all of the things you worried about no longer have to be worried about. Slap that franchise tag right on Paul's backside. Or whatever the hell baseball comes up with to make things right.
Or better.
But either way, 2026 is the damn year. I don't want to hear about the future anymore. I don't. The only reason I care about Connor Griffin right this second is because Connor Griffin is now. That's why I care. Prospects be damned. Seth Hernandez, great player, I bet. I think he's going to be a wonderful pitcher. Bye. Bring me back something I need now. I don't want to wait for you to come up here in 2029 and be my new ace. I'm sorry. I'm tired of pretending the Pirates are capable of doing what we hope they're capable of. They're not. Give me the window.
Now, this is a question, geez, we or I have probably posed 4 years ago, is, you know, do you value a chance at a window, or would you like to just keep kind of in perpetuity hanging around, or, you know, kind of there, maybe trying? I think Pirate fans in a heartbeat, if they're being truthful, would say, no, I'd like to push some buttons and try to win. But then when it push comes to shove, are you really willing to do it? Are you really willing to be that ballsy, if you will?
I think more often than not, most fans are probably more mouth than they are action, if it really came down to it. I mean, I kind of just recently in the last couple of days have been really focusing on, like, we should be thinking about Nick Gonzalez as a trade piece. And the reason I say that is because the Pirates are very clearly looking for a second baseman. Very clearly. It's every rumor. They're not happy with him. Like, they don't think the production's going to come. They want to upgrade from it. If that's the case, goodbye. Trade him. Make him part of whatever you do to upgrade that position then. You know, like you
Yeah.
got Nick York. They're basically the same player anyway.
Yeah, to be worried about guys like that and whether you want to move them is so far off my radar of what's acceptable at this point. You know, aside from Connor Griffin, and people freak out when you mention Bubba Chandler. I'm not there. I would look, depend, tell me, I'll listen. Tell me what it's about. But if we're worried about Nick Gonzalez, boy, we got a lot of work to do.
Who was the first, Ryan? If you think it was Joey Bart, I don't agree with you. Do you guys think Luciano could be another San Francisco resurrection? I don't know. I don't know anything about him. I know he used to be hot stuff, but I don't. I think the bloom is off the rose.
Is this the guy they picked up?
Yeah,
Boy,
he was a former top prospect from the
I
Giants.
looked at it. I think when guys have the problems he's having, I think you're looking at like an Anthony Alford type guy. He screams Anthony Alford to me.
People are crazy. Like, for real. Trade Gonzo, he'll be a star somewhere else. He won't be a star anywhere. Like, you understand, like that we're too late into his career for star. Star's not happening. Now you hope for above average. At best. We're going into year 4 now of his major league career. He's been injury prone. This is think of it like an arbitration thing. If you were going to argue arbitration against Nick Gonzalez, what would you say? You're injury prone. You have not developed power. The contact's not consistent enough. You don't steal enough bases.
Defense is hit and miss.
Your defense statistically is in the shitter. You don't have enough OAA. You know, like you haven't developed into a major league starter or an above average one. You can certainly hope he does. I still hold out hope for him. And if they don't go and get a second baseman, I'm not going to boo every day like they should have replaced him. But the team is showing you that they don't think he's where they want him to be. And they're probably telling you they think he's pretty close to his ceiling. They at least want more of a guarantee of power. Everyone they've checked into, though, thus far, for the most part, has played second base. You got Lau, Polanco, Marte. I mean, how many people do we need them to look into before you believe it?
Well, and I guess you have to go where it's probably not ideally where they would want to look, but then, I mean, you have to upgrade where you can upgrade, I think. So to me, nothing against Nick Gonzalez. I just would not lose sleep over it. And look, if someone gets traded and they do well somewhere else, what are you supposed to do? Just sit and don't do anything? That's my big question all the time is like, okay, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do this, you won't trade this person, you can't do this. What's the alternative?
Yeah. Make a big trade, Jim. Trade some of that pitching for hitting, but not those pitchers. Not those pitchers. Don't touch Seth Hernandez. Don't you touch Bubba. Not Jared Jones. What are you talking about? You know, like, and it's by the time you get done, guys, who am I moving of value? Mitch Keller. Let me explain to you how value works again. Like, it's not there, guys. You're not going to bring back a major league bat for Mitch Keller. The market is telling them otherwise. Like, it's going to have to be something like a big prospect if you want a big trade. Not low. Lau's going to take, like, honestly, a Nick Gonzalez, a Jared Triolo, a Nick York. It's going to take something like that, or a Thomas Harrington. It's not going to be a big deal to get 1 year of a guy. You know, maybe a throwaway prospect on top of whatever I just mentioned. But if you want a Ketel Marte, or you want an Adley Rushman who might squeak free in Baltimore, or you want somebody like an Ozzy Albies, you're going to pay.
Yeah.
And you're going to pay dearly.
Yeah. The only reason the Diamondbacks are considering it is because they think they can get legit return for him. Legit. That's not single A guy who's a high riser. That's the throw in on top of it to get it done. But the names would have to be there. And that's just the way it is. Like people suck at this as bad as they do getting a fantasy football trade offer.
But this is no different than like when you go into a free agency thing and the reports start coming out, all the Pirates were $2 million short, and everyone goes, they couldn't spend $2 million more. Those are the same people that would freak out if I offered Bubba versus Thomas Harrington to get a big deal done. Do you get what I mean?
I get it.
And it sucks. It's not like I want to trade Bubba. I'm not out here pitching for it. That would be the last thing I'd want to do. But you can't say no to everybody. And like, if somebody comes to you with a really good deal, like let's say to get Ketel Marte done, and they wouldn't do this, okay? Like, so don't take me down the logic train 100% where it has to make sense for the teams. But let's say that their big ask was Brian Reynolds straight up. I might do that. Ketel Marte is a better overall hitter than Brian Reynolds. And I think this team could take that initial upgrade, and I'd have to accept it. I'd have to accept that as a good thing for this baseball team. Plus, I've got some concerns about Brian and defensively holding out. I've got issues as far as like how his defense has been. He's gone into these deep cold wells. Ketel Marte is a better player. So let's say if part of their required return was a guy like Brian Reynolds, I'm opening my mind to it. It would be a slighter upgrade than if you kept him, but I think there's more punch there at least.
Yeah, and this goes back to, I think, really what we're trying to drive home is that if you can't get the impact you want out of free agency, folks, there's only one other way to do it. There's only one other avenue. Now that could be taking on money, part of it too, which I'm fully, hey, if you got money to spend and supposedly they have money, take it on contracts, right? Like there are teams looking to get rid of players right now.
There are, like, if you were to be willing to sell the farm, I believe Fernando Tatis Jr. is available. I bet it could happen. If you were willing to sell the farm, I'm talking Bubba, Seth Hernandez. You might even have to include Griffin. He might even have to be the headliner of it. You know what I mean? That's a crazy trade. And I don't know if I don't know if like that's something that would move the needle here or just piss a bunch of people off. I don't have a good gauge for this, Jim.
No, they've backed themselves into a corner in many ways too, right? So the fans don't know what to do. They're paranoid. They're cynical. And then on top of it, who I also think like you could probably get who's out there, who's owed a ton of money, and they've already said they would like to get their payroll down. I think you could go to Texas and start sniffing around Corey Seager if you wanted to.
Do you think so, for real?
I think they've already said that their budget's going to be lower. They are looking to shed payroll. He's got quite a bit left on his contract, money and years. I wouldn't. And if you gave them the right prospects for it. I don't know, man. Like,
That's interesting, Jim. That really is, because I mean, I've been kind of looking around the league trying to think of some guys like this too, because I can just feel that it going this way. Like I feel like an eating salary situation might be the way to go. I saw one that got mentioned earlier in the chat was Teoscar Hernandez is out there. Any interest on your part for him?
say it again. I'm sorry, I was reading
Teoscar
something.
Hernandez is out there again.
Yeah, I'm willing to explore a lot of things. Like, are there concerns with him? Yeah, but everybody, the whole pool is full of swimmers that have concerns. You're always going to find it if you want to. You know what I mean? Like, that's just where the Pirates are at. These are the type of guys you have to consider.
Let's take another quick break, Jim. When we come back, let's talk about something else. Would you be willing to trade within the division? Because some of our best trade options might very well be right in the Midwest.
Yeah, and does that change anything?
It could.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Pirates Fan Forum here on DK Pittsburgh Sports. I'm so excited to announce our very first fan takeover of the show's outro. At the end, Ben has retired from his illustrious career as the Let's Go Bucks kid
as
at the
the
end of the Pirates Fan Forum. Do you give him a little certificate, Jim? Get him a little hat with a tassel on it. One side.
I'll give him a fist bump.
Nice.
And a pat on the backside saying, good job, good game, baby.
Right.
No,
so we got a new one.
You said this is the first, Gary, but it probably isn't the last.
It's definitely not the last, because we're going to change it up, well, as often as you guys change it up or I get bored of them. I'll do some goofy things on my own to close out the show if I feel like it. But I would love it if you guys would send in new ones. We've got a great one that I'm probably going to run through Christmas if need be, because it's very Christmassy. But I certainly wouldn't mind some more. I think that's a pretty cool thing to do. So anyways, Jim.
Yeah.
What
Gary.
would you do here? Like, we got this, we got a need for lefty sticks, and the Cardinals got a bunch of them they'd love to get rid of. Newt Barr and Donovan and Gorman, and boy, I'd take any of them. I really would. I would take freaking any of them. So what do you think? Like, would you like to make a deal with the Cardinals, or do you think because you would take pitching and we're going to have to deal with it, would you like it? Would you want to do that?
I wouldn't love it, but again, if the deal was right, I would do it. I just beggars and choosers line comes in here somewhere, in the sense that I just don't think you can say, like, nope, we're not going to do that. We can't. Like, more options are better, in my opinion. I wouldn't love it.
I guess it's become less of a taboo, right? You've seen less and less people getting as bent out of shape about it as they used to. It used to be whenever you decided to trade inside the division, everyone would freak out, and now it's like it gets mentioned, but it's not like the end of the world, really.
Yeah. It sounds to me like the Cardinals, the thing about the Cardinals is they're very much posturing that, oh, we're going to have to be blown away. Well, are they serious about moving somebody, or do you really want to be blown away, or are you motivated to move those guys?
I've heard them connected to just about everybody. Like, I think they're still stuck with Nolan Arenado. I believe he's still not trading or waiving the no trade clause. So they're stuck with him. I think he would be an interesting pickup for the Pirates. It would solve third base for a while. And I know he's not what he used to be, but he'd be an improvement over what they've had there offensively, at least as long as he was healthy.
You know, I've looked at this. Man, Gary, I'm out. I'm out on Nolan.
Well, he's taking it off the board anyway, so it doesn't
Right.
really matter. He's not doing
Right.
it. I love some of the other Cardinals options there. I just don't know which one I like the best. I like Gorman, but Brandon Donovan's really the best hitter, right? I mean, like, he's the most consistent performer out of them, I think, offensively. I think offensively, I'd rather have him than anybody. Newt Bar's
Yeah.
hurt too much for me.
Yeah, and Bikes here makes a good point too. Teams play a pretty balanced schedule now. I think it's less of a deal to trade in the division. There's
That's
some
a very
truth.
good point, actually.
There's
Yeah.
some truth to that, because like you don't want the guy you trade to kick your ass for however many games that used to be for an opponent. So I think that's a good point.
I think it's a great point. We got another vote for Marcelo Zuna. I keep hearing that. What do you think, man? I mean, like, can't play the outfield anymore, so it's just a DH, and I don't know. What do you think?
I have to look.
Certainly power.
Yeah, I mean he's a run producer. I don't know anything about his contract, his age, his what his numbers look like last year. I would be totally.
I think if I was looking for somebody that I knew had to be a DH, and I'm pretty sure that Kutch is coming back, and I am. I'm not even going to bother debating it anymore. I'm pretty sure Kutch is coming back, and it doesn't really matter what they do in free agency or the trade market. Pretty sure Kutch is coming back. So,
do you think they're making any decisions based off that?
No. I think Kutch is coming back, and I don't think his role is defined. I just think that it's basically we're going to make room for it, and that's it. I don't think they're going to hold out a spot for him, though. And I think that's evidenced by just being interested in Ryan O'Hearn and even Brandon Lau to a certain degree, because he's probably a better DH as well. But I guess if I'm going to get one, and I'm going to probably bring Kutch back, I'd really prefer my dedicated DH to be a left-hander. It just feels like that makes a lot more sense, if you ask me. So that's probably what I would like to do. Go that route.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm just because it was brought up. I looked at Marcelo Zuna. Last year he still had a 755 OPS, 21 homers, 68 RBIs, 232 batting average, which whatever. So, and that was a little bit down year, but he'll be 36. So right in this sweet spot for all the guys we're looking at. Can't really play the field anymore. Probably a DH. Isn't lefty, but is a right. You know what I mean? Like we always seem to be in this category.
If the Pirates are really going to spend $30-some million on a guy, or they were willing to, and it's a position of need, I wonder why they would be afraid to just turn around and directly start going after Bellinger or Bregman. I mean, and if we're willing to move guys like Bubba Chandler and whatnot, which they said they are, like, then why would you be afraid of guys that got qualifying offers, because all you're losing is a draft pick. And if you're willing to move a top prospect, need I remind you how you got them? Like, what's the difference? Don't be afraid of the qualifying offer guys either, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest problem with any of these dudes is they're used to winning. And I just think that at their point in their careers, if they've made some money already, they are only shopping in certain parts of the store too, right? So, of course, Bellinger thinks Yankees, Dodgers, Mets, those types of teams, right? So I don't know how you get past that. Those dudes are used to winning and they still want to win. I don't know. I don't know if you can ever. I don't know how you get past that right now.
What is going on with our chat tonight? It's being taken over by turds. I'm really not excited about it. It's actually distracting to me. So it's
Gary,
bothering me, Jim.
I've been even told this is too much of a downer of an episode. I mean,
Well,
hey,
turn it off then. I mean,
yeah.
I really don't care. I do this show for me and Jim. We have fun. I mean, if you guys want to tag along and be flies on the wall, that's cool. But we're talking to each other. That's cool.
Well, yeah. Plus, too, do you really want to talk about the issues and the problems, or do you want happy?
That's all I'm saying.
And
discuss
whatever.
the problems. I mean, we talk about like, oh, do more. Well, we're trying to talk about ways that they could do more. And unfortunately, this team put themselves in a situation where they don't have a damn choice. They've got to punch back from what they've created for themselves. They buried themselves hip deep in cement, and now it's up to them to dig themselves free. Like it's not easy to do. That's why you don't do a lot of the things that this team has done over the decades. Because
I've actually been trying to think of a good analogy for this, and you're good at these, so maybe you can come up with it. But it's like they're just showing up with some money, saying we're serious, after showing for years they're not really. That's a hard.
I used Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman as an example the other day.
Okay.
Like, she gets that wad of money and heads down to Rodeo Drive and nobody will wait on her. It's that sort of thing. It's, the Beverly Hillbillies showing up at the bank with their car and nobody will take the money. Like it's, you don't look like you fit because, well, traditionally you haven't. And like that's the case. How does new money act when it gets into a country club, right? They go around throwing their money around till they fit all of a sudden. You got to be stupid. You got to do something dumb to show people. Like you go into a casino and you want to be seen as a high roller. You got to go put an irrational bet down on something and be seen as a high roller.
Yeah. Well, people think about it in any walk of life. Someone comes up to you with something, don't you want a little bit of assurances and a track record before you do anything with them? If you find out they've been a jackass for the last 10 years, what do you think's going to be the response? You can be like, you know what? I'll think about it. And then you go right back to Googling where somebody else that you actually want to do the business with.
Yeah, I think, I mean, like, I think that's probably the best way that you're going to have to go. I think ultimately they're gonna have to be willing to go and do something probably a little irrational in the trade market if they swing and miss on all the free agents. And if I'm them, my advice would be you're better off overspending in the free agent market than you are overspending in the trade market. I think you erase a lot of the decent work that you have done on the way here if you overspend in the trade market, whereas if you overspend in the free agent market, you're just out some money. And if I'm this GM, I take every dime that I possibly have available to me and shove it up this dude's can and spend it, and like, that's the best you can do.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, the prospects are always going to have to be the lifeblood of this organization. So you really don't want to just be willy-nilly with a lot of that stuff, right? Like you can't just overspend there because that ends up being they have to live off that part of it. So
it is frustrating.
thank
And,
you for banning that dude. Thank you.
You're welcome. I had no problem banning David. Now he can come back with a different name and speak the exact same way, and I'll recognize it in about 2 seconds because infants only talk one way. I honestly, God, though, like, this is a fun community, this show, and we do have a good chat most of the time, but every once in a while, a turd is going to come in, and I'm sorry. I am beyond caring about offending them or hurting their feelings or having them come back as another micro bot with a micro whatever in a couple seconds. It's going to happen. I just don't care, and I'm tired of it ruining the experience for everybody else. And this is my play show. The other one's my business show.
Yeah, and here's the thing I do want to stress, like 98% of the people that show up, comment, interact, all good. So
yeah.
Thank you for that. It's just
This was a good talk tonight though, Jim, because I just truthfully wonder how far people are willing to go. And I think like what you find is like your comfort level is probably not as far as you think it is. I think when you say the words aggressive, I would just invite you to go and define that for yourself. Go look at the team, find out what aggressive really means to you. What's the most painful cut you'd take? What's the most what would hurt you the most? Don't be stupid and make it Paul Skeens, because that'll be everybody's answer. But look at the team and just think, if you were going to take a slice of flesh and it was going to hurt, but it's going to be your dream player coming back, are you capable of doing that?
right.
Because if you aren't, quit asking them to do it at least.
Right. And what you mentioned earlier is something too that like people should really watch how this unfolds with the Tigers with Scooble, because if we're lucky, we're in the Tigers position in a couple of years where we're winning and you have that problem. But look what's happening there. That's the Pirates, maybe without the winning part. You could get to that point and still not have won. At least the Tigers have been competitive.
That's true. And I think that's exactly why right now, just when you're talking about like how difficult it is to open these windows, really pay attention to the lessons that I think the Tigers are showing you right now. They have the window open right now in a weak division. They have Tarek Skubal right now. They've got him for a couple more years. Everything smart, baseball-wise, would be telling you better move him. Don't lose him for nothing. But if you're a fan, don't you want them to take their best swing for those last 2 years of Tarek Skubal instead? I bet you do.
Interestingly enough, Skubal is under team control through the 2026 season.
So it's 1 year.
Yeah. So
if they hold on to him right now,
talk about being up against it.
If they hold on to him right now, they're basically saying, okay, this is our last crack at it here with Tarek Skubal. They've got other good pitchers too, but they've got a pretty good team around him that they kind of just put together. But they're also betting on Javi Baez having a second bounce back good year in a row. And, a lot of other things kind of breaking right,
Sure.
And it's such a difficult decision because if you trade him, you might be able to kind of like recoup and catch your balance and still keep what you've got together enough that you might make another run with most of this core.
I'd love to talk to Tigers fans and say, is it worth it? Are you willing to keep him just for the year and at the chance of winning something and losing him for nothing? Because we're going to we might be in that situation.
And they're all talking about, are we going to move Tarek Skubal? You know what I don't see a lot of is who are the Tigers going to go get to try as hard as they can to win that 1 year with Tarek Skubal? You know, like, and the league is not set up to have that be the case either. You know,
Not at all. Not at all.
Because now would be a horrific time for the Tigers to go and invest. They just got told they were about $300 million short trying to extend him. So they know that ain't happening. So who are you going to get real big to put in his back pocket? And that's why Bregman's not going to sign with them. You know, that's not even a pipe dream because he knows Skubal's going to turn around and leave. You know, like it's all these teams that can't spend as much. Yeah, they can compete. They sure can, everyone.
Well, yeah. Now you had a couple guys. This is the other factor with this free agent market is the Bregmans of the world, the Alonsos of the world, the Bellingers of the world. They have danced around a little bit with like shorter deals and options and like all that stuff. I think you're seeing they finally want the big deal. They've done that for 2 or 3 years. They're looking for that long-term big deal. They've put it off as long as they can, but like look at Alonso, right? He eventually at this point said, "No, it's about length of term and money eventually."
Right. And then like here, Bikes. This guy, this dude's awesome. He comments on just about everything I do, and he has a different username under everything. Like he's got a different username under YouTube, Facebook, my Discord, everything. But Tigers fans lost Verlander. Great point. And I would say as a reaction to that losing Verlander, they kept Cabrera way longer than they probably should have in that market, right? Almost trying to make up for what they couldn't hold on to. And I don't know, it's just I think that's the real injustice of this league is that some teams can get guys like these and there's just not a prayer of keeping them. They were born out of this small town before they had a chance to even figure out what a dirt road was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Fancy was her name. You know, she's born to get out of this town. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's how some of these guys are when you pick them. And until things like that change, these windows are just reality. I think if you can get Griffin up here and he's everything we hope he is, and you've got him with Skeens, all bets are off to me, man. Trade everything to do whatever, to get whatever in here to do it. Couple years, give me a shot. I'll take it. That's my final verdict on the show.
Well, Gary, what I would say is, I've said this a lot. What are you afraid of that they're going to lose in the future? Well, we're already doing that. like what you can't kill me anymore. Like, I'm not afraid of that anymore. I'm not afraid of years of losing. We've lived it our whole lives. Like, that doesn't scare me.
I loved it. And I had a really fun time yelling at David too. And
yes.
I enjoyed that quite a bit, Jim. Are you ready to premiere our new outro for the show?
Yeah. Hey, and if anybody still wants to throw some our way, please do. Yes. And kids are always cute, by the way. Just gonna say. Kids,
animals, whatever. So long as I have an audible "Let's Go Bucks" and there's no music that I'm not allowed to replay on YouTube.
And no nudity for all you weirdos out there.
Right. No nudity, just in case I don't look at it closely enough before I post it. So
we don't need any nip slips.
Right. Without further ado, everybody, thanks for a great week. And everybody, for real, the chat was pretty cool outside of David.
Yeah, great participation. Thanks, guys.
This one comes to you guys from the Pirates Queen. Let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.